Hi, it's Paula. You're here with us on the Common Book Show. Today I have Jason with me, and of course Richard and Nessa.
Richard.
Oh, the timer didn't come up. Okay, so
Oh, okay.
nobody
So they're
heard what
on
I
yet.
said.
No.
Oh, they're hearing me. They're just not seeing the time. Okay, hi. We have so everybody knows who's on the show. Then, okay.
Bienvenidos.
All right, I'm going to read. I'm going to be really. Richard brought up that it was the anniversary of John Steinbeck. What? His death?
The publication of the Grapes of Wrath.
Oh, the publication of the Grapes of Wrath. I couldn't remember what you had said. So we were talking a little bit about maybe doing something from the book, and I want to read this. I've really annexed it quite. I took a lot out because there's a lot of repetition, but I think it's worth reading. It's about 8 minutes long, so prepare yourself. Okay. Today's bargain up on the platform. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Did I do that right? Nope, I did not do that right. Hold on. I don't have, okay. Those sons of bitches over there ain't buying. Every yard gets them. They're lookers. Spend all their time looking. Don't want to buy no cars. Take up your time. Don't give a damn for your time. Over there, them two. No, with the kids. Get them in a car. Start them at 200 and work down. They look like they're good for 1.25. Get them rolling. Get them out in a jalopy. Sock it to them. They took our time. Watch that woman's face. If that woman likes it, we can screw the old man. Start him on the CAD, and then you can work him down to, say, the 26 Buick. If you start with the Buick, they're going to go for a Ford. Roll up your sleeves and get to work. This ain't going to last forever. Show them the Nash while I get the slow leak pumped up on that 25 Dodge. What you want is transportation, ain't it? No baloney for you. Sure, the upholstery is shot. Seat cushions ain't turning no wheels over. Get them under obligation. Make them take your time. Don't let them forget they're taking your time. People are nice mostly. They hate to put you out. Make them put you out and then sock it to them. Yes, sir, 22 Dodge, best goddamn car Dodge ever made. Never wear out, low compression, high compression. Got lots of sap for a while, but the metal ain't made that'll hold it for long. Plymouths, Rockies, Stars. God damn it, I gotta get jalopies. I don't want nothing for more than 25, 30 bucks. Sell them for 50, 75. That's good profit. Get jalopies. I can sell them fast, and I can get them nothing over 250. Today's bargain up on the platform. Never sell it. Make folks come in, though. If we sold that bargain at that price, we'd hardly make a dime. Just tell them it's just sold. Take out that yard battery before you make delivery. Put in that dump cell. Christ, what they want for 6 bits. Roll up your sleeves. Pitch in. This ain't gonna last. If I had enough jalopies, I could retire in 6 months. Listen, Jim, I heard that Chevy's rear end. Sounds like busting bottles. Squirt in a couple of quarts of sawdust. Put in the gears, too. We gotta move that lemon for $35. Bastard cheated me on that one. I offered him 10 and he jerked me to 15, that son of a bitch. He took the tools out. God almighty, I wished I had 500 jalopies. This ain't gonna last. He don't like the tires? Tell him they got 10,000 in them. Knock off $1.50. Piles of rusty ruins against the fence. Rows of wrecks in the back. Fenders, grease black wrecks, blocks lying on the ground, and a pigweed growing up through the cylinders, brake rods, exhausts, piled like snakes, grease, gasoline. See if you can find a spark plug that isn't cracked. What the hell is he kicking about? We sell him, but we don't push him home for him. You don't think he's a prospect? Well, kick him out. We got too much to do to bother with that guy that can't make up his mind. Take that right front tire off the gram. Turn that mended side down. The rest looks swell. Got tread and everything. Looking for a car? What did you have in mind? See anything that attracts you? I'm dry. How about a little snort of the good stuff? Come on while your wife's looking at the LaSalle. You don't want no LaSalle. Bearing shot. Uses too much oil. Get a Lincoln 24. There's a car. Run forever. Make her into a truck. God, if I could get 100 jalopies, I don't care if they run or not. Tire patch, radiator cleaner, spark intensifier, drop this little pill in your gas tank and get 10 extra miles to the gallon. Just paint it on. You got a new surface for 50 cents. Wipers, fans, belts, gaskets. Maybe it's a valve. Get a new valve system. What can you lose for a nickel? All right, Joe. You soften them up and shoot them in here, and I'll close the deal, or I'll kill them. Don't send in no bums. I want deals. Yes, sir. Step in. You got to buy there. Yes, sir. At $80, you got to buy. I can't go no higher than 50. The feller outside says 50. 50? 50? He's nuts. Paid $78.50 for that little number, Joe. You crazy fool. You trying to bust us? Have to can that guy. I might take 60. Now look here, mister. I ain't got all day. I'm a businessman, but I ain't out to stick it to nobody. Got anything to trade? Got a pair of mules to trade. Mules? Hey, Joe, hear this. This guy wants to trade mules. Didn't anybody tell you this is the machine age? They don't use mules for nothing but glue anymore. Well, I'm a sucker, Joe says. I'm a sucker. Says if I don't quit giving my shirt away, I'll starve to death. Tell you what I'll do. I can get $5 a piece for them mules for dog food. I wouldn't want them to go for dog feed. Well, maybe I can get 10 or 7. Tell you what I'll do. I'll take your mules for 20. Wagon goes with them, don't it? And if you put up 50, you can sign a contract to send the rest at $10 a month. Jesus, Joe, that was a hot one. What did he give for that jalopy? $30, 35. What did we give? 30, $35? Wasn't that it? I got that team, and if I can't get 75 for that team, I ain't a businessman. And I got 50 cash and a contract for 40 more. Christ, if I could get 500 jalopies. Roll up your sleeves, Joe. Go out and soften them up and send them in to me. You get 20 on that last one, you ain't doing bad. Horsehair curling out of seat cushions, fenders battered and hammered back, bumpers torn loose and hanging, fancy Ford Roadster with a little colored lights and at the fender guide, a radiator cap and 3 behind, mud aprons and a big die on the gear shift, pretty girl on a tire cover, painted in color and named Cora, afternoon sun on dusty windshields. There's a dumb bunny looking at that Chrysler. Find out if he's got any jack in his jeans. Some of them farm boys is sneaky. Soften them up and roll them over to me, Joe. You're doing good. Sure, we sold it guaranteed. We guaranteed it was an automobile. We didn't guarantee to wet nurse it. Now you listen here. You bought a car and now you're squawking. Yeah, well, you just get tough and I'll call a cop. No, we did not switch the tires. Run him out of here, Joe. He bought a car and now he ain't satisfied. We're running a business, not a charity ward. Can you imagine that guy, Joe? Say, look at here. This guy's got an elk's tooth. Run over there and let him glance over that 36 Pontiac. Yeah. Square noses, round noses, rusty noses, shovel noses, and the long curved of streamlines, and the flat surface before streamlining. Bargains today. Old monsters with deep upholstery. You can cut her into a truck easy. Used cars, good cars, clean cars, runs good, doesn't pump oil. Christ, look at her. Somebody took nice care of her. Cadillacs, LaSalles, Buicks, Plymouths, Packards, Chevys, Fords, Pontiacs, row on row, headlights glinting in the afternoon sun, good used cars. Going to California? Here's just what you need. Looks shot, but there's thousands of miles in her. Lined up side by side, good used cars, bargains, clean, runs good.
All I could think of is the last line of Those Were the Days. G.R. Old LaSalle ran great. So
those were the days.
Yeah, so if that leaked oil, so which was it? Did it run great or did it leak oil?
Well, all I can say is this chapter's, to me, it's a poem. You know, it's just like bouncing. It never says who's talking, but you know who's talking. You know who's there, and you know what's going on. I love it. I don't know if you love it. You don't look like you love it.
How about just asking me?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you.
Instead of pulling a John, there's this guy who comes, oh, hello, James. Should we let James in on the
You have a poker face, Richard.
on the
that's why.
show?
Yeah,
Turn up Richard's mic.
Richard. Are you there, Tom?
Yeah, Tom is listening.
Okay, all right. So,
So my friend Tom Waters,
yeah,
he works at a place that sells hot tubs.
yeah,
And every year, this place buys a booth at the home show. And the owner of the place that he works at said, we're going to try something different this year. There's a salesman who is so good at selling hot tubs that he farms out his expertise. In other words, he says, I will come to your store or to whatever event you're promoting, and I will charge you nothing except I want 25% of every hot tub I sell.
Is that Bruce Firestone?
I don't know.
Well, because that's who sold us ours, and that sounds exactly like.
yeah.
So what happens is the owner says to Tom, so he's flying in for the 3-day home show, and he's going to be staying at the Marriott. And Tom, your job, pick him up, bring him to the home show. At the end of the night, drive him home to his hotel.
Yeah.
Okay. So he did. So all the members of the staff at Pool Mart got to watch this, what they call him, the shark.
Wow. Well,
And
pool
there was
makes
there was a rule at the home show. When somebody walks up and asks a question, the shark gets to see him first, because he can tell within 5 minutes if you're serious. And if he senses you're serious, he will close the deal. If he senses you're not, he passes you off to one of the other people.
Wow.
So that was part of the arrangement.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So they got to see this guy at work and doing what you just described in the John Steinbeck,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
that he's very good at reading people, negotiating people, pressuring people.
Yeah. Make them know that they're taking up your time.
So Tom gives him a ride home after day 1, and they get to know each other, and then day 2. So on day 3, Tom says to him, what's it like just going from city to city to city and selling? And he said, it's rewarding financially,
Yeah.
but it takes its toll on you. And Tom said, what kind of toll does it take? And he said, well, you do know that I'm married and I have a kid. And Tom says, yeah. And he said, neither of them will speak to me.
Ooh.
And Tom says, well, why is that? And he said, I can't shut off my personality. So when I
Wow.
relate to them, they get the impression that I'm conning them.
I'm selling them something. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
So he has traded, let's say, success for a very lonely life.
Wow.
And life is pain, Highness. Anybody that says anything else is selling something.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe they weren't talking to him because, what he's doing is not. It's not that it's totally underhanded. People do want a hot tub, but the thing is, there's something slimy about the way it's done. The way you're closing the deal and the way you're selling that.
But you know what Irish diplomacy is, right?
I do not.
Telling somebody to go to hell, but having them look forward to the trip. I mean, you know that if you want a hot tub, you're going to end up with a hot tub. So
Right, exactly. But there's a smarminess about that way of selling, that hard sell. That hard sell is a little, I don't like it. I didn't have when I bought my car. I didn't have that. I was very happy with the salesperson. She knew what I wanted, and she helped me get it, and that was it. But my last time I bought a car, it was in Arizona, and that guy was doing that thing. And I didn't like it. I knew I wanted the car, but I almost walked away because I didn't want to buy it from him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what I did when I was looking for my car. I got a little bit of money back 20 years ago when my dad died, so I needed a new vehicle because my old one was going, and I was a resident. I went to town BMW and they wouldn't even talk to me. So right here, and I went up to Rochester and I got my car,
Yeah.
because I was going to get one. I didn't know if I was going to get a Mercedes or a BMW.
But the way they treated you.
Yeah. So like, screw me, no, screw you. I got $30,000 here that you ain't getting.
Yeah.
And so I hear you.
Yeah, I just. Are you going to join us, James, or are you just going to?
You can tell us about your experiences with salespeople.
Oh God, yeah. Well, James had just said that the racism issue. Yeah, I'm sure that you know what, and I'm not undermining that at all because I do feel that I'm sure that's very painful. But you know, you get a lot of that as a woman as well when you walk into some place and they just think you're stupid because
That
you're
happened to
a
my
woman.
wife. Yeah, when she was a kid. You know that a dealership that wouldn't talk to her, so she went to another one and bought her Cavalier.
My salesperson was a woman. I was very excited because you know I felt first of all it's not traditionally a woman's field, and I thought good for you.
So, Mr. Walker, tell us how you experienced racism when people were selling you things.
Well, the general thing is that they think you can't afford to buy whatever they're selling. And or they believe the way to sell to you is to insult your masculinity so that you'll buy it to prove to them that you can buy it, which doesn't work for me.
Well, you're smart. There's not everyone's smart.
But one of my girlfriends decided that she wanted to buy a brand new car. I told her not to because there's just so many better ways to buy a car.
Yeah.
But she had her heart set on a brand new car that nobody else has broke the leather but me. And I did some research and said, well, these are the things that probably work best for you. And she wanted me to go with her to go shopping. And I said to her, you don't want to shop with me because it's going to be a whole different experience than what you would have yourself. And she said, I'm a woman. They're going to try to screw me over if I don't have a guy. I'm like, but see, I'm the wrong guy to go with you. Take your dad, take one of your cousins. No, if there's going to be a problem, I want to see it because I wouldn't want to buy a car from somebody that's going to treat you badly. So, okay, you want to walk into this, let's go. So, the first place that we went to was a place where she knew the owners of the dealership. And we walk in the door. There's literally nobody in the building that does not work there. We're walking around the showroom floor. We're checking out the stickers. We're getting in and out of the cars. Nobody talks to us.
Wow.
Wow.
A secretary comes by and says, are you being helped by anyone? And we're like, strangely, no.
Yeah.
We've been here for 15, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour already, and you're the first person to say hello. And she's like, okay, well, let me go get somebody. And I guess she goes back to the break room where all the salespeople are hiding and tells them that, there's a customer on the floor. And they continue hiding. And the owner of the place happens to come walking across the floor. And she says, hi. And he very dismissively waves and keeps walking. And she's like, I said, hi, we'll say Brian. And the guy looks over for real this time. And then is like, oh, how you doing? How's your parents? Yada, blah, blah, blah. And she says, everybody's fine. I'm just wondering why it is I've been walking around this sales floor for over a half hour without anybody talking to me and no salesperson coming out. And he says, well, why are you here?
I wanted a hot dog.
So when she says, I'm considering buying my first car, he says, oh, well, let me get somebody to help you. And then he goes back to wherever the salespeople are hiding. And I guess they draw straws, and the person who loses has to come out and service us. And he asks her the questions about, what are you looking for? How much are you thinking of paying? What's the monthly that you're trying to target, whatever. And she didn't say anything helpful. She's like, well, I'm not really sure. Just tell me what you've got. We're standing here at a Pontiac dealership, and she's like, tell me what you got. So she says, well, can I test drive this car? And the guy tries to say that would be a problem. We're not doing test drives today. It's like, and I'm sitting there like, oh, so are you selling cars at all today? You just have the doors open and the lights on. But, And finally, he decides that a test drive can be arranged. And he asks for both our driver's licenses. I'm like, what? Well, she's doing the test drive. Yeah, but I need your driver's license too. Why? Well, you're going on the test drive too. And of course, I'm saying to myself, oh, so you think I'm going to carjack you?
Oh.
Seriously? So he would not allow a test drive without both of us handing over our driver's licenses. Then...
Did he think you were holding her hostage?
That's at the border.
Oh, jeez.
Then, this is a small car. It was one of those Sunfire. Pontiac
Oh, yeah,
Sunfire.
yeah.
And the jerk tells me that I have to get in the back seat.
Why, he's going too for the test drive?
Oh yeah, that's another thing. We can't do the test drive without him riding along too because insurance regulations.
Oh, that's bullshit. I had my car for 2 hours.
And then he says I have to sit in the back seat because his legs are too long. And then he tries to get away with the drive around the corner test drive, which I balked at. It's like, this car hasn't even gotten up to 55, and you want to call that the test drive. At which point, my then girlfriend says, well, why don't we switch places and you drive the car because you know more about the car than I would anyway. And he's like, well, he's not the person buying the car. And I'm like, well, why do you have my driver's license if I'm not going to drive the car? So everything was an argument. And we finally, I drive the car, and I just went all over the place. And he's feeling like, yeah, we are carjacking him because he wanted to be back in the
Safety
office.
of his office.
Yeah.
Of the break room.
Exactly. So after longer than what he wanted, we get back, and he starts asking her questions again about financing and pricing and whatnot. And she says, well, I want to talk it over with my parents, and we'll get back to you. You didn't really tell me anything about what specials you have this month or whatever, and I'm not, settled on what car, so I'm going to check out some other things, and we'll get back to you. So we leave, and I say to her, okay, I normally wouldn't do this, but now that you've had this experience, now this is kind of a cheat. I know a salesman at the Volvo dealership, but nobody knows me at the Mercedes dealership except the guy who actually opened the dealership. And he's not going to see us. So which one do you want to go to first? And she says, well, let's go to the Volvo dealership because I could possibly buy that. And I says, no. Let's go to the Mercedes dealership first because you can't afford a brand new Mercedes, but you could afford a used Mercedes. Same $20,000 that you would have spent on that Sunfire, you could be driving a used Mercedes, and nobody knows what year it is anyway.
In a CPO too, so it's
So we go over to the Mercedes dealership, and like I say, only the owner knows me. None of the salespeople or secretaries know me. I tell the guy we're looking for a good used Mercedes. He says, "You sure don't want to try a new one?" It's like, no, we know that we want to try a used one. We look at 3. He says, "Okay, which one do you want to take for a test drive?" We point a car out. He throws us the keys and says, "See you when you get back."
So, what was why did they treat you differently at the Mercedes place than they did at the Buick place?
Because Mercedes understands that somebody who looks like they're sleeping under a bridge.
Is that how you see yourself?
No, but the point is this.
Okay.
Talk to Mercedes salesmen, and they will all tell you a story about a guy who looked like he was homeless, who came to look at a car, and then haggled on price with them, and then said, "Okay, I'll take it," and pulled out their duffel bag and counted out what they negotiated.
Wow.
And then sticks them by saying, "This is the price I'm going to pay. You're not adding tax, title, and any other bullshit. I don't want to hear anything about the rust proofing and the prepping. This is the price that we have negotiated. You do the paperwork however you got to do it, but this is what I'm paying, and if you give me any shit, I'm out of here. I'm going to take my money with me." So they've learned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good.
I mean, that's and the thing. You know what I've always said. I've told young women all the time. I've said, if you want to know who's the rich guy, look at his watch, because guys will be all dressed up and they're wearing like a Timex. You know, like when I have my Rolex on, people notice it. I'm not even flashing it. I'm not flashing it, but people notice it. You know, and you look at his watch. So that's the thing, that you got to know what to look for. And James is absolutely right. If you there's a cachet just walking into Mercedes.
Yeah.
There's a level that that they can tell who's a poser. You know.
No. Well, that's good to know. I have a Honda.
Actually, more millionaires have Hondas.
They're great cars. My Honda will drive me around for the rest of my life. That's my Honda is my last car.
That reminds me of a phrase. I did not create this, but I heard it online. Build a man a fire, you keep him warm for the night. Light a man on fire, you keep him warm for the rest of his life.
Oh, that's bad.
That's really bad, but it's true.
All right, so we've exhausted the automobile portion of our show. It's almost halfway over. So I wanted to ask you, Nessa, if you wanted to talk about that thing that you sent me.
Which one?
Oh, geez. don't. You don't
The
send
one
me.
about
You don't.
Jesus on a stick?
No, you don't send me a lot of stuff. This was more political.
I got a fun one, if you want the fun one.
Well, let me first find this and tell her.
Refresh my memory. I send a lot of stuff out and I can't
Yeah,
remember all of it.
I don't. You don't send me a lot of stuff, so it was something that I.
Well, while she looks, in case anybody is wondering, my shirt, you can't really see it. It says Tool, but it's not a concert shirt. It says, not the band, I'm just a tool. That's what it says on the small print under here. So.
Oh. All right. It was the thing from U.S. Patriots for Donald Trump, the John Rolfe. We don't need facts. Facts are for stupid people.
Oh, yeah, read
That
it.
one. Yeah. Okay. What Donald J. Trump says is truth. And now that we are putting tariffs on them, penguin people, the transgender alliance can't poop in public. With Putin and our father Trump working together, we can do anything. When CASS comes out with the report about transgender that doesn't have any of their experts' research so we can get rid of them and censor the real information. It's the return of the Third Reich, and I'm excited. Go MAGA, starve foreign babies, death to the infidels. This was sent by somebody whose name is John Rolfe.
Like the Virginia or the Roanoke colony, or the Jamestown colony.
Rolfe.
Yeah, that was a guy who was in the back 1607.
Yeah, well, apparently he has a Twitter account or something.
It was a bag of nutcases that have like 50 different
Yeah.
screen names.
But
Yeah.
actually, with the X, it's actually shitter. Xitter. It's pronounced shitter.
Oh, shitter.
Yeah, because that's what the XI. That's how that's pronounced. Shit.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty awful.
Well,
It's typical. You should see all the crap I see on all these meme sites every day.
I know you see way
see,
more
like-
than I do because
I
I
see like
stick to
1,000
my.
things a day like that.
well, but
That's the new normal.
the thing that gets me is it's saying that only white non-Jewish males are the only people that have ever done anything in the U.S. There's a woman who was the first woman to fly with the Thunderbirds. They stripped her off the website.
Of course, they took everyone off.
Well,
You're right.
they took the Enola Gay off their, and that's the plane that dropped the bombs.
Yeah, and that was the mother's name. Well, that's a common surname in the South. There was a guy whose family name was Gay who was a year behind me in school, and he was from Virginia. I mean, it's knee-jerk, and it's people that are idiots, because you got to realize that these people that you're negating have more in common with you than these other folks that you're aligning with. That people are people, and they're individuals. And that was written about in Doonesbury 40 years ago, because Mark was gay, and his boyfriend, Chase, that his Mark's father was all anti-gay, anti-this, that, but he finds out he and Chase have a lot in common, and they end up talking together, because that is like that guy from Grey's Anatomy said, I would hope that that's not the most interesting thing about me.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. So anyway, I just thought you might want to, because I didn't realize that I wasn't special.
Oh, you're special.
Hey, just
You're one
remember
of
the
few
short
people
bus
who got
gets there.
that. I don't think Richard got that one.
Yeah, but anyway, Richard, okay, what's on your list? We didn't have a show last week, so
This would come under the category of good idea or bad idea.
I love these.
Joan Didion had 2 children. One of them turned out to be a drug addict and an alcoholic. It affected Joan very deeply, to the point where she went into a very deep depression. Thinking,
Yeah.
did I cause this?
Well, and you make these people with your body, and so
Yeah.
you feel very close to them.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she started going to a therapist. Joan was fascinated by the dialogue she was having with the therapist. So what she does is, after every session, she comes home and she, using her writing skills, she talks about the session, thinking, I want my husband to read this because my husband might feel bad too.
Yeah.
See? So she's developing all these notes, and she gives them to her husband. Well, Joan Didion is now deceased. The husband is deceased.
Yeah. He died before her.
The estate wants to publish those notes. Tom, can you put the image on the screen up? See? Notes to John. And the Joan Didion fans are divided. They're like, this is not...
Is her son still alive?
Yes.
what about the other kid?
So he signed off on it, obviously.
Oh, he did. Oh,
She died. You mean the drug addict person?
No, you said she had 2 kids, and the one was a drunk. And
That's what Paula just said.
Yes.
What about the other one?
the one that
The
was,
other kid,
the one that
who's
was
not the drug
normal.
addict. Yeah.
Oh, he's still alive. He's part of the estate.
Is he anything famous? Like, is he the profound writer, or?
The most famous is the nephew.
But I'm saying though, when you said there's 2 kids, I thought you were going to say there's like Goofus and Gallant, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
But the one that was a drug addict had passed away.
Yeah.
That was okay. So that person is gone. Then I can see, because concern that person, I would be more against it if that person was still alive.
Okay.
But if the other son signed off on it, or daughter, whatever it was, signed off on it, I think it might, maybe it wasn't helpful to the husband, but maybe it could be helpful to somebody else who's going through this.
Well,
Good argument.
the happy families are all the same. Unhappy families are all unique in their own ways. And
Happy families.
I've never met a happy family.
No, there's a really famous story that's the first sentence of. There's a famous novel that's the first sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Now I've lost my place now just thinking of that.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You totally distracted me.
But
John Didion and her husband, they had something what they did every year. They would ask each other, is it still working? And, when he said yes, she said yes, they stayed married. That's what they did every year until he died.
Well, after he died, she had written the book, A Year of Magical Thinking. And I read that book, and it was she really suffered. I mean, they must have had a very unique and beautiful relationship, because she really suffered when he died.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I can't ask my wife that, because I know the answer.
Well, I think that if you're in a relationship, you should be able to ask that question and get the answer you want.
Well, you know what insanity is, right? Doing the same thing, expecting a different result?
Yes.
That qualifies as insane. I want to read this in the worst way.
Oh, then
Well,
the worst
coffee?
way. Okay. Oh, you got two. That's right. You
Yeah,
said you had.
you want to? How about the fun one?
I think we should. Well, yeah. Maybe if we start with the fun one, then we can discuss the other one.
Okay. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This one is just called food. Kashrut, halal, Catholic kosher during Lent, herbivore, omnivore, carnivore. Meat is murder. Tasty, tasty murder. Vegetarian, vegan, ovo-lacto, pesco, fruitarian, the Twinkie diet, the hot dog diet, the kale diet, the air diet, also known as the starvation or depression diet.
Breatharians.
Sickest live guy.
Breatharians, yeah.
Sickest live guy or healthiest dead guy around. Eating healthy, is that reasonable or just delaying the inevitable?
Okay, there's a question at the end of that poem.
Yeah. What's your answer to that question?
No matter what you do, you're going to die. So
True.
I mean, you can make some concessions, but do you know what's the most bogus thing? When you have money left over. When you haven't spent it all, when you haven't done it all, when you've been waiting so long for something to happen that everything happened past you, like John Lennon said. Life is what happens while you're waiting for other things. Or I just mangled it, but it's like that if you're always playing it safe, you'll never get anything done. And if you're always eating brown rice, well, I don't want to be 90 years old eating brown rice, hungry all the time.
I love brown rice.
I don't want to be 90 years old eating brown rice and nothing else.
No, not nothing else. But I love brown rice.
Brown rice is better
delicious.
than white rice 8 days a week. I mean, basmati and jasmine. Heck yes, give it to me. Give me the wild rice every day of the week.
But there's a quality of life that you're not addressing. Like if you eat really bad food and your body becomes sick because of it, then you will suffer toward the end of your life. Whereas, I mean, you still might suffer. Yes, I'm not negating that fact, but if you stay healthy, you have a better quality of life. At least I think.
And to be the healthiest dead guy
I agree
around.
with you.
I don't care. I know I'm going to die. I'm not worried about death. I'm worried about living my life to the extent that I want to for the next however many years I get.
Who was the guy? Was it Jim Ryan? R-Y-U-N, the guy who ran the mile in high school. He was a pro runner, as much as you could be a pro. He was like 52, and he just and drops dead.
Yeah.
So he was the healthiest dead guy around.
I had a friend who was a runner as well, and he died.
Why
He
run
died
when you
young.
can renew?
But
When you can what?
Renew.
Oh,
Caroline.
so
Slogans run.
I don't. I don't really feel that I'm wasting my time by taking care of myself. I feel like if I'm prolonging my life by half an hour, I mean, that's not what I'm doing it for. But, I mean, physically, I know the difference how I feel when I eat a lot of shit and when I eat good food. I feel different.
Well, there was the guy Shikigeo Izumi. I've mangled his name, but he was the rarely a guy that lived to be over 100 years old. He was 115, and for a while he was the oldest living person in the world. He ascribed it to every day he had a pint of hard liquor. Every day of his life till he was 115. So whatever people do...
Well, he had some kind of constitution then.
You know, that's what I mean. You don't know everything that people hang their hat on.
I know what, but I've lived in my body for all these years. I know my body really well. And I feel different when I'm eating white flour and white rice and things that I feel gummed up. My body feels gummed up in some way. If I'm not, I feel lighter and better.
I agree with you, Paula.
But a high fiber diet will rectify that.
I eat a high fiber, but you don't get high fiber with white flour.
Well, that's true. I'm not denying that.
Do you know what I eat for breakfast? I have steel cut oats. I have a tablespoon of chia seeds, a tablespoon of flax seeds. I have blueberries, almond milk, and some nuts.
So you know wherever you go, poop is going to grow grass. You know that, right?
Well, that's great. I'd love that in my toilet. Maybe not so much, but but the thing is, I get as much fiber in one meal as most Americans get in the whole day. Because most Americans only get 15 grams of fiber, and that's a 15-gram of fiber
30 years ago, 95% of diabetics were type 1 like me. 30 years later, 95% are type 2, and that's from the American diet.
And it's fiber. It's a lot of it's based on, because the only thing that the bacteria in your gut can eat is fiber. That's the only thing it can eat.
Not really.
No,
because the bacteria is so different. There's also yeast in there, so it's a biome. It's a city.
Right, but the thing is, it eats it. If you're giving yourself prebiotics and probiotics and all this other crap, it doesn't do you any good unless you're feeding your biogeome, which is with fiber.
Good advice.
So,
Vanessa, are you getting enough fiber?
I guess.
No shit.
do you eat fruit? You eat fruit and vegetables. You eat pretty healthfully. Yeah. You're smart. You eat pretty healthfully.
James, do you get enough fiber?
Depends on the week.
Well, he's on the move. It's hard to eat well when you're traveling. It's really hard. I mean, when Greg and I were on the road, I ate a lot of fast food, and I felt like crap. Opposite of crap, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like negative crap. But so I mean, that was my spiel.
Well, my biggest distress is as I've gotten older, I can't eat 2 steaks at once now.
What did you do? Like double-handed?
No, it'd be sequentially in series, not in parallel. But I can't do the 2 porterhouses. I did that at the Metropolitan. I did it at Morton's all across the U.S. from Hawaii to Manhattan, and I did it at Russell's, and now I can't do that anymore.
I'm sorry for you.
No, you're not. Stop being so insincere.
That was really insincere, wasn't
yes.
it? No, I mean I don't eat a lot of red meat. So.
Do you want the other deeper one?
Well, I want to comment on that.
Okay, let Richard comment.
Okay, so my friend in England,
yes,
she writes to me, and she wrote the following to me. What advice would you give to her? Okay. She wrote, everyone is trapped in their body. Even some people who take care of themselves become trapped. It's terrifying some days to think about being alive. I fell in the mud while kicking the soccer ball around with Lucas. It was funny at the time. I'm now going on 3 weeks and had considerable pain in my knee. At my age, she's 62, I start to think, is this how it's going to be going forward? Aching all the time? The mornings are hard, and it takes about an hour until I eventually come back to life. What advice would you give her?
The more you move, the more you move. When you stop moving, you stop moving. That's what I always told people, if you walk, keep walking. Even if you have to use a walker or a cane or a walker, do it. Because when you stop, you stop. And that's what happens. It's a positive feedback loop. So even if you feel some aches, if that stops you, you've lost the game. And that's what I'd say, that even though you feel these aches, you have to go through it, because the longer you keep moving, you do. Because once you give it up, it ain't coming back.
Well, and the alternative to living with pain is not living. I'd rather live. I mean, I know a lot of the Eastern philosophy stuff. They tell you to embrace the pain. And that's not only emotional pain, that's physical pain, because it's a feeling of being alive. When I don't, it was bad when my shoulder was bad. It was bad. But every morning I stretch, and when I stretch, it hurts, but it hurts a little less. Maybe not every day, but every week I can feel it hurts a little less. So that's exactly right. What Jason is saying is that if you give up, mentally give up, and she's 62, that's not that old.
Right.
So if you mentally give up, it's over. We have that capacity to give up the ghost before we're dead. Mm-hmm. And if we do it, that's it. I know myself, I did not feel like getting on the bike this morning. I really didn't. I could have passed. But I did, because I know that tomorrow it would be twice as hard to get on.
Vanessa, what advice would you give to her?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of life, so.
I know but you walk to the store because you don't really have a lot of choice. You're active. Wouldn't you fight for that? If it started feeling like it was being taken away from you, wouldn't you fight for that ability to move around by your own locomotion?
I don't know. I have to do it because no one else is going to get me food.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I mean, I would miss moving. I mean, not that I couldn't live without it, but I would miss being able to be independent. That would be
that's horrible.
That's a problem for me. So I would tell her to, and even if it, get some of those patches. Is she in the United States? I don't know if they sell them everywhere.
What you mean?
Lidocaine patches.
Oh.
Lidocaine patches, I don't know if you're supposed to use them or not, but I'll tell you something. They work really. Before I had my hip surgery, when I went to San Francisco with Greg, I had 8 lidocaine patches on my body, and I know
if your ears start ringing or you taste metal in your mouth, you're lidocaine toxic. So be wary of that.
I know I haven't done that in a long time.
Good.
But the
Good.
thing is, I couldn't walk. If I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been able to walk. And so the lidocaine patches are great, and Aspercreme is great, and Tylenol. Do it. Just get up.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you can tolerate ibuprofen, do that, or naproxen. Like naproxen doesn't do anything for me, but ibuprofen does, because they work at the site of action. That Tylenol works on the brainstem, so it blocks the pain signal, but it doesn't do anything at the site of action.
But what does it do at the site of action? The naproxen?
They take the swelling down, and they stop the inflammatory cascade.
Inflammation.
Robor, calor, tumor, dolor. Redness, pain, swelling, and
I know it wreaks havoc
heat.
with your stomach, though.
Well, it depends on who you are. It doesn't wreak havoc with my stomach.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, that's what I mean. I'm kind of idiosyncratic about the stuff I can do to myself, and I don't have any lasting,
Well, I'm cognizant of how and the more I've been, the more we've been in this tract of meditating, and positivity and good self talk, the better I like myself, and the more I want myself to live. Really, I'm in a good place, and I want to continue this. If somebody would have told me at 20 that I'd feel my best at this age, I would have laughed.
Well, I hope I die before I get old. You know that you can't talk sense to anybody who's 20.
No, but my life was really bad.
I just quoted the
Yeah,
Who there.
yeah, I know that song. But anyway,
What?
the Who what? Who's on first? But okay, so we've gone off on that track now. Did you read the second?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
This
okay.
one's a lot. It's not fun like the other ones.
Well, no,
the other
that's
ones were
fine.
not fun, and this one is not
your
either.
your depression poems weren't exactly what I would call rip roaring snorting.
That's what I'm
fun.
saying. Yeah,
I like them.
I liked them too.
This one isn't
I
either.
like depressing stuff.
So this one is called Forgiveness. Faith, redemption, absolution. Mistakes were made. It happens. Are we broken? No, we heal. But who remembers? Who reopens the wound? Who lets the wound fester? Sunlight is a natural cure. Forgiveness needs sun. Sun brings life. Segal said, love means never having to say you're sorry. Pope said, to err is human, to forgive divine. Truth? Tripe? Bullshit? If you can't forgive, then why bother? What are you even doing?
Yeah, I was puzzled by that last line. Who is it being addressed to?
People in my mind who I'm not going to tell you.
Well,
Imaginary friends.
So-
Nope, they're not imaginary. They're real people.
have you
Oh, you think they're real, huh?
have you considered
I'm not going to tell you who they are. It's
Have
none of your
you-
damn business.
have you considered that the first person that you need to forgive is yourself?
Absolutely, but I can know that, and I don't feel it.
Yeah, I know. It's very hard. It's very hard. And I don't know, I've said this to so many people since I've heard it that I don't know if I said it to you. I read the most amazing thing, and I don't remember where I read it. It was in some book, Jungian thing or something. And it was, when you look back and you regret the things that you've done, and those time I have them, where you think, I can't believe I did that. Remember that if you were presented with the same choices now, with the growth that you've had, you would have made a different decision. So anything that happened in the past that you regret and you feel bad about, your development and your evolution as a human being, you would have been smarter to make a different decision. And now I can look back at those things and I can say, yeah, if that happened now, I would have never done that.
Well, there's the saying, experience comes from good judgment, and good judgment comes from bad judgment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. It definitely does.
I'm going to say hello to Mick.
Hello, Mick. So what do you feel about forgiveness?
I think it's very important for your own mental health.
You can forgive someone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you would let them do that to you again. Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to put yourself in that situation again.
Mm-hmm.
And I have gone through those little rituals to forgive the people who hurt me the most in my life. But it's way easier to forgive dead people.
Because the dead only know that they're dead. Yeah.
Because the dead people can't hurt you anymore.
When Sergei Diaghilev, he was a impresario, meaning he set up all these gigs for all these famous composers, and he could make or break your career because he could set you up at the Ballet Russe, and you'd get the papers would all cover everything. But when he died, a lot of famous composers came, including Sergei Prokofiev, and they said, Sergei, you got to get up and say a few words. And he said, I hated him. They said, yeah, but you got to. Everybody's looking forward to you getting up. It's the funeral. You got to say something. So think of something. So he got up and he said, well, today we are here at the funeral of Sergei Diaghilev. He was a scoundrel. He cheated people. He was not above playing dirty tricks to get more people to come to an event. And I hated him. But he's dead now, so it's all forgiven. Exactly what you said. It's easy to forgive the dead.
It is so easy to forgive the dead. Absolutely.
Well, the flip side of that is the hagiography that was heaped upon Tricky Dick Nixon when he died. People forgot that he was as crummy and dirty as the day is long.
I don't think the people who lived through that were unaware of what,
When he died, all there was all sorts of people celebrating him. And
that's because that's how people that's societally appropriate, right? We don't speak ill of the dead. Although I like that guy's speech.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about that speech is he didn't sugarcoat it.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Yeah, no, I know.
Which a lot of funeral speeches are very much sugarcoated.
Yeah, or you can say it in a way that people mistake it for being something positive. So I wanna just give one little snippet from my my Herodotus, because I found this hilarious. When Darius was going to be before he became the supreme ruler of Persia.
Yeah.
There were a couple people that were vying for the position, and they wanted to be fair about it. And so what they did was they said, okay, of all of us, I think there were 5 or something, 5 people, whosever horse whinnies first in the morning, that will be the one who will be the king, or the whatever, the emperor or whatever he was.
the Shah.
Yeah. So Darius came up with a scheme, and I just thought this was great. He had his horseman stick his hand into the vagina of the female horse and go over, and when he led the reins with his hand smelling like female horse, the horse whinnied.
Oh.
That's how he got to be supreme ruler.
Hey.
I just thought that was great.
Treachery and deceit.
Yeah, treachery and deceit. There's a lot of that in Herodotus. It's fun.
Well, the thing I was wondering about, though, of Herodotus, do we, and Plutarch, do we read this because they survive? Like, they weren't especially good, but they're the only things that's left?
Okay, the thing about the
No, I'm asking honestly.
Yeah, they are source material because they do talk about things that have long since been forgotten and never written about by anyone else. So yes, they're the only source material. Plutarch used Herodotus as source material. Herodotus is, I think he's the first historian, but he does quote some other people, so I don't know who these other people are. They must have lost their
Jerry, who lives on the street corner, sort of stuff.
But it's well known that much of this stuff is wrong because it was a lot of hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
People would come from other countries and tell him things, and then he would just write them down because that's all he knew of it. But he did see a lot of things firsthand. He did travel a lot, and he was scholarly. But this is the only, some of the things happened hundreds and hundreds of years before he was born. So he's taking word of mouth from people who have it handed down as their history for their country. So, but I thought the horse story was hilarious. I mean, what a mind. But we got a little over a minute and a half. You got something else for us today before we?
Yeah, Tom, can you show VIN 9 on the screen? Who is this?
I didn't know.
Did you? I think you sent me a poem of his, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, I never saw that man before. You sent me that on.
He is a beat poet, and we are commemorating his birth on this day.
He looks like a guy that lives in the Florida Keys.
Do we have time to read the poem?
If you wish, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I'd love you to.
Dépêche toi, though.
You have to love beat poetry.
That's fine.
Okay, here it is. Believe in this, young apple seeds, in blue skies, in radiating young breasts, not in blue-suited insects infesting society's garments. Believe in the swinging sounds of jazz, tearing the night into intricate shreds, putting it back together again in cool, logical patterns, not in sick controllers who created the bomb. Let the voices of dead poets ring louder in your ears than the screechings mouthed in mildewed editorials. Listen to the music of the centuries rising above the mushroom cloud.
Oh, see, that's perfect. That's why poets are different than other people.
And let me just say, Richard Nixon was actually ahead of his time, a trailblazer. Everything that he was in trouble for is now expressly legal in our world, in the United States, in 2025. If he had just stuck to his guns with that statement, it's legal when the president does it, he would have been impeached.
And you're done.
He would have been impeached.
Nobody.